In the 21 years since the Premier League was formed, the price of watching the beautiful game has gone up and up. And with 5 top-tier teams in the Northwest, it's something that affects fans here more than most. But as Richard Askham discovered, the situation in Germany is very different.
Welcome to the Bundesliga. More spectators cram into Germany's vast stadia than in any other football league in the world, including England. It's important to point out that the Bundesliga remains well behind the Premier League financially and in global popularity. But will its philosophy of maintaining affordable match tickets prove the winner in the long term? Right from the time the Premier League was formed in 1992, fans have grumbled about rising ticket prices, yet they've always paid up in the end.
It's a whole new ballgame.
But last month, Manchester City fans made what could turn out to be a significant gesture. Almost a third of their ticket allocation for their game at Arsenal went unsold. By refusing to fork out, City fans were sending a message to the Premier League. Actually, 62 of them.
A lot of people keep saying to me, well, don't go, show by, not attending and, empty seats, and that'll hit the clubs more in the pocket. But from a fan's point of view, why should we be driven away from the game and from our club?
And fans of other clubs agree with Richard.
Prices have been getting dearer and dearer since it's become all-seater. At one time you could pay £10 for a match, and that was plenty. It's been rising 20, 30, 40, 50, £62. It's too much.
When I started following Liverpool, it was very much the working man's game. But now, I feel the working man's being squeezed out of it a little bit.
Mark Palios is a former chief executive of the Football Association. He's witnessed the business of football from many angles, having played 17 seasons for Tranmere before becoming a senior partner at a leading firm of accountants. Are ticket prices in the Premier League simply too high?
I think when you look at it, it's an inescapable conclusion to me that there has to be a limit as to where you get to. If you look at it and you then start to add on the travel costs as well that you get, then as a piece of entertainment for a father with a few kids, you're then starting to sort of really struggle.
One former player who's played at the very top in both England and in Germany comes down on the side of hard-pressed supporters.
It's not only the ticket price, you need to get down to London, either by car or by train, which is an extra cost. You want to maybe have a bite to eat, have a sandwich at the ground, have a drink, and then you talk about 100 and 150 quid for an away game.
150 quid? I could have a weekend break in Europe for that kind of money. So I did. Here in Germany, things couldn't be more different, really. This is Hanover in Lower Saxony, and tonight the local team Hanover 96 is playing in the top division, the Bundesliga. Now, Bremen is 128 kilometres away, but that isn't a problem, at least not an expensive one. That's because when supporters buy a match ticket, this is mine, you also get free public transport within the local state. So with this ticket, I also get a train ticket. I'll see you at the other end. And when I get to Bremen, I can also use my football ticket for all local public transport, such as buses and trams to the stadium. Without going over the top about it, there does seem to be, excuse me sir, a slightly different philosophy here. They make sure that there are affordable prices for almost everybody for every Bundesliga match. This ticket that I bought cost me 19 euros. It is for a standing position, but I could have sat down for the equivalent of about £20. Just tell me how much you paid for your ticket and what you think about that.
For my ticket, I paid 30 euros.
13 euros, 13
yeah,
euros, about £10. Wow, that's amazing.
It's a little bit too expensive, right?
You're kidding, aren't you?
No.
It's too much in England because many young people can't buy this ticket. It's too much.
Thomas Hafke is a social worker in Bremen. He's a key link between the football club and its most fanatical fans.
Football clubs in Germany are not companies. They are association and they have social responsibility. And they're looking for the people who are younger, who are pupil or students who don't have so much money, and they offer them special prizes.
And is that a different philosophy, or is it a financial decision? What do you think?
I think it's both.
Everton kick off against Sunderland.
The north of England is where professional football began. It was the sport for the masses, something that most working men, and it was mostly men, could afford to go and watch. But that's a very different era.
By the overhead route to the front row.
Today, the beautiful game stands accused of charging ugly prices. Till the 1990s, watching football was a relatively cheap pastime. For decades, prices had kept pace with inflation. But the low prices charged to fans for watching football had its own cost. Stadiums became decrepit, which was most brutally exposed in the disasters at Valley Parade and Hillsborough. The Taylor report that followed Hillsborough recommended all-seater stadiums for safety reasons. It also suggested fans be charged £6 to sit down. In today's money, that's less than £13. We could have picked any English Premier League ground and the story would have been pretty much the same. Here at Old Trafford in 1960, you could stand on the Stretford end for 3 shillings and 6pence, which is about £3.20 in today's money. The cheapest seat nowadays is £42, which is £29 more than Lord Taylor recommended. We requested an interview with the chief executive of the Premier League, Richard Scudamore, but he declined. But he did tell BBC Radio last month that the protest by Manchester City fans hadn't gone unnoticed. Mark Palios says fans in England shouldn't expect ticket prices to fall anytime soon because Premier League clubs are in a globally competitive market.
Let's just look at some of the top clubs in this country. They play in an English league, and the FA has jurisdiction over that league and the Premier League has jurisdiction over that league. But those clubs also compete on an international basis. They play in Europe and they actually compete globally for their players on a global basis. And so until you can actually control the people they're competing against, the Barcelonas, the Madrids, you can't put restrictions on Man United, for example, or Arsenal, and not have those restrictions on Madrid. Otherwise, our clubs will be at a disadvantage.
English football is a huge economic export story for UK PLC, but for the Premier League to continue to thrive, those in charge may be forced to remind themselves that the fans aren't just there to watch the show, but are a crucial element of the show.
Yildirim Petersen Zucker 2-0 Doppelpack.
We've all been at Premier League games where there's been a great atmosphere, but I must admit for a normal league game, this is pretty special. Mind you, the weather's the same.
Aber weiter, kein Treffer.
Weather aside, the Bundesliga and the Premier League have much in common. Where they differ currently is over their ticket price philosophy. But with political and fan pressure growing in England, the Manchester City protest may come to be seen as a tipping point.